Let's pray. Almighty God, in your wisdom and goodness have appointed the office of leaders and county assemblies for the welfare of society and the just government of the people. We beseech you to behold with your abundant favor as your servants, whom you've been pleased to call to the performance of important trusts in this republic. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country, and of those whose interest you've committed to our church. Amen. As a clerk takes us through the order of the day.
Supplementary order paper number 86B of today, Tuesday, 27th June 2023 at 2:30 p.m. Order number 1, administration of oath.
Next order.
Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Honorable members, welcome to this session. I have got 2 communications to make. Number 1, you are aware that tomorrow, the 28th of June 2023 has been gazetted as a public holiday. That means that we shall not be meeting tomorrow in our plenaries as per our annual calendar. And on behalf of the Assembly, I want to wish our brothers and sisters who will be celebrating tomorrow. I think it must be Adha. So our friends who will be celebrating that one, I'm seeing Honorable Abeid. We wish you the best. Number 2, which is again in the line with that gazette notice of tomorrow. I have sent for gazettement of 30th June 2023 as a special sitting for purely the purposes of discussing the Kisumu County Budget 24. I've already confirmed the notice can come out anytime, but I want to tell you in advance that on Friday, the 30th of June 2023, we shall be meeting from 9 a.m. to discuss the budget report and the appropriation bill 2023-2024. I'm aware that there's a function that in Homa Bay, that is the Pinyiluo extravaganza, which starts on 30th and 1st. I will send the apology of the members, but I believe on 1st, which is the critical day, for those who would want to attend, you can still attend on 1st. But because of matters of topical concern being the budget, we had no otherwise but to gazette 30th of June. If were that tomorrow is not a holiday, then we could have managed to do it by Thursday. So I want to ask that you bear with us on that. Otherwise, next order, clerk.
Order number 3, messages.
Next order.
Order number 4, petitions.
Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
The Honorable Leader of Majority.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to lay paper. Table paper, I mean. Pursuant to the provisions of Section 13 of the Urban Areas and Cities Act number 13 of 2011, I wish to table today, Tuesday, 27th June, 2023, the Governor's request for approval of appointees to the Kisumu County's Urban Areas Board. That is Muroni Chemelil Municipality, Katito Paponditi Municipality, Ahera Awasi Municipality, Maseno Holo Municipality, Kombewa Body Municipality, and Kisumu City Board. Thank you.
Honorable members, I wanted to confirm that I'm in receipt of a request for approval of Kisumu County's Urban Areas Board members as led by the Honorable Leader of Majority. And honorable members, I want to say that, or to commit this request for approval of the names to the Committee of Appointment and direct that they work on it as per our standing orders. I want to request that the clerk prepares a schedule for the same, owing to the fact that we are going into July and such appointment is going to affect our budget in one way or the other. So the earlier, the better. Next, Honorable Seto Kumu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provision of Standing Orders, number 182 of the Kisumu County Assembly Standing Orders, I wish to table today, Tuesday, 27th June 2023, a report by ECD Adult Education and Vocational Training Committee on its consideration of the Kisumu County Vocational Education and Training Bill 2023, Kisumu County Bill number 1 of 2023.
Honorable members, I confirm receipt of the report of, the Committee on ECD Adult Education and Vocational Training report on the Kisumu County Technical Vocational Training Education Bill 2023. And I want to commit this report to the Committee of House Business for purposes of scheduling for debate. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
The Honorable Seto Kumu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker and members, pursuant to the provision of Section 45(1) of our County Assembly Standing Orders, I wish to give a notice of motion that this House adopts the report by ECD Adult Education and Vocational Training Committee on its consideration of the Kisumu County Vocational Education and Training Bill 2023, the Kisumu County Bills number 1 of 2023. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next order.
Order number 7, statements.
It is statement time. Next order.
Commencement of business. Order number 8, motion. Adoption of the report by PICPAC committee and consideration of the Auditor General's report on the financial statements of the County Executive of Kisumu for the year ended 30th June 2020 by Honorable Kennedy Ouko. This is a resumption of business interrupted on Thursday, 8th June 2023 at 2:30 p.m.
Honorable members, you are aware that on Thursday, 8th June 2023, the Honorable Ken Ouko was on the floor moving a motion on the consideration of the report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of Kisumu County Executive for the year ended 30th June 2020. The report that I believe each and every member has. And I think the request for suspension of the motion then, due to lack of quorum, also gave an opportunity to members to read it in depth. So when the Honorable Ken Ouko will be continuing the movement of the motion, I want to remind him that he had moved the motion until, I think, page 40, no, page, where he was to start on the management response. But I want to request him to start from 3.12 on the prior year adjustments. So, Honorable Ken Ouko.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for granting the committee PICPAC the opportunity to continue with the report. Okay, I'm starting from page 40. That is now 3.12, prior year adjustment. As disclosed in note 25, as reported in the previous year, the statement of assets and liability reflects a prior year adjustment of Kenya shillings 645,737,153, 2018-2019, 842,611,821 debits which had not been supported with journal vouchers as explanation of the error as stipulated in the reporting template and the International Public Sector Accounting Standard 3 accounting policies, changes in accounting estimates and error para 5. Consequently, the accuracy, validity, and completeness of the prior year adjustment of 645,737,153 as at 30th June 2020 will be confirmed. Management response. The prior year adjustment figure of Kenya shillings 842, 611, 821 comprise of the following items. Payments made after 30th June 2020 but relating to the financial year under review, Kenya shillings 634,307,788 and hospital bank balance of Kenya shillings 208,304,033. Committee observations. The management failed to prepare fully supported journals to explain the adjustment. The management is yet to provide journals or other relevant accounting treatment to support the adjustment of Kenya shillings 208,304,033 in respect to the hospital bank balances. Committee recommendations that the accounting officer submit to this assembly journals to support the adjustment of Kenya shillings 200,304,033 in respect to hospital bank balances in a period of not more than 90 days upon adoption of this report. 2, that going forward, the management must ensure that accurate financial statements are prepared. 3, that the matter remain unresolved. 303, 3.13, irregular purchase of bus. The management entered into contract with a motor dealer for the purchase and delivery of 29 seater bus, 915,000, which was paid in the year under review. However, a review of the procurement document indicated that the tender was declared unresponsive by the evaluation committee on 4th April 2019 and recommended for retendering. However, management instead used a contract from the suppliers branch to purchase the bus against the recommendations of the evaluation committee. The suppliers branch contract relied on had also expired on 20th January 2019. The notification of award was also dated 10th April 2019, but the supplier accepted the offer on 20th June 2019, 2 months later. Consequently, the propriety of Kenya shillings 4,915,000 in respect of acquisition of assets reflected in the statement of receipts and payment for the year ended 30th June 2020 will not be confirmed. Management response that they use national government contract to procure the bus, and that it is a government practice that whenever government contract expires, it is used until a new one is in place. County government of Kisumu and Isuzu agreed on some government contract price, which was paid and no money was lost. Committee observations. The committee note that the management failed to show the requisite procurement process contrary to the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act 2019. 2, it also noted that the contract used from the supplier branch is under the jurisdiction of National Ministry of Transport and Infrastructure. Committee recommendations. 1, that the matter is resolved. That going forward, the management must ensure that adherence with procurement procedures in line with Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act 2015. Pending bills, 3.14. Note 28.1, other important disclosure on pending accounts payable indicates that the outstanding balance as at 30th June 2020 was 2,309,494,252. However, review of the pending bills revealed the following unsatisfactory matters. 1, the second approved supplementary budget for the financial year 2019-2020 had allocated a total of 1,473,800,116 for payment of pending bills. However, the list of the eligible pending bills and report of the pending bill solutions committee were not provided for audit review. Management response. Supplementary budget for the year 2019-2020 approved for a pending bill, Kenya shillings 473,800,101, out of which only pending bills worth Kenya shillings 569,049,234 were paid due to cash flows constraint. These payments were made before the conclusion of the vetting exercise of the pending bill solutions, which ended on 8th September 2020, financial year 2020-2021. All the eligible pending bills in the above report have since been paid in subsequent financial years. Committee observations. The management failed to provide a list of eligible pending bills and a report of the pending bill resolution committee during the time of audit. 2, that the pending bill were audited through a special audit by the Office of the Auditor General in 2021. The committee recommended this to this House to resolve as follows. That the officer, Finance and Economic Planning submit to the County Assembly the details of eligible pending bills as at the end of financial year 2019-2020 and their status within 90 days upon adoption of this report. 2, that the Auditor General submit to the County Assembly the special audit report on the pending bills as audited by the Auditor General within a period of 90 days upon adoption of this report. 3, that the matter remain unresolved. B, the year 2019-2020 list of pending bills reflected debt-related gratuity and medallion award owed to various staff amounting to Kenya shillings 278,268,393, but the dates of the medallion award and gratuities were not indicated. Management response. List and dates of the beneficiaries to medallion and gratuity 1993 have since been provided and verified. Committee recommendations that this matter is resolved. C, included in the actual list of pending bills at 30th June 2020 are claims amounting to Kenya shillings 86,138,196 that are adequately supported with either delivery notes involved, which are not adequately supported with either delivery notes, invoices, and other procurement records. Management response. This pending bills payment will not be paid until supporting documents are provided. Committee observation. The management failed to provide delivery notes, invoices, and other procurement records for claims of 86,138,196. The committee also observed that the said amount does not qualify into pending bills without delivery notes, invoice, and other procurement records. Committee recommendations. 1, that the accounting officer, finance, and economic planning submit to the county assembly a comprehensive list of all unsupported pending bills totaling to 86,138,196 within 90 days upon adoption of this report for purpose of consideration. Second, that failure by the accounting officer to submit comprehensive list of above in 90 days, the claim of 86,138,196 be expunged from the list of pending bills. 3, that the matter remain unresolved. D, included in the pending bill list are amount totaling 5,163,723 for an incomplete work as observed during the physical verifications of the project. Management response. The incomplete works were as per the payment certificate and scope of work done as per the audit. Committee observations. The committee noted that the auditors failed to provide comprehensive information and list of projects to enable the committee to make informed and objective decisions on this matter. Committee recommendations. 1, in the absence of list of project and comprehensive information on the same, the committee could not verify the claim by the Auditor General. The matter therefore remained settled or resolved. 2, the committee advises the Auditor General to be providing comprehensive information, including but not limited to details of such projects, location and specific expenditure for ease of oversight and site verifications. E, from the record available for the audit, it was observed that the invoices amount for a certified work for the construction of Kombewa Market was 16,888,340. However, only 3,114,739 was included in the pending bill. The variance of 13,773,602 was not explained. Management response responded that Wakuri Building and Civil Engineering Limited was awarded the contract to construct a modern retail market in Kombewa in the financial year 2015-2016. The contract sum was 35,982,161 and 80 cents. 3 payment certificates were raised as follows. 1, first payment certificate 18,549,154, dated 9 November 2016. Then 2, second payment, which Kenya shillings 13,773,602 dated 18th of March 2019, and third payment certificate of Kenya shillings 3,114,738 dated 24th June 2020. The management indicated that during the audit exercise, the office was only liable to present third payment certificate as other two certificates were being processed for payment. Committee observation. The committee conducted a field visit of this matter and noted that all the Kenya shillings 16,888,340 shillings ought to be classified as pending bills considering the timing of the audit, and that the executive failed to include 2019-2020 certificates of Kenya shillings 16,888,340 as a pending bill. Committee recommendations. The committee recommended that the Chief Officer Finance submits to the County Assembly within 90 days upon adoption of this report evidence payment of all the certificates reference and as alleged in the management response. The matter remained unresolved. F. During 2013-2014 financial year, the Ministry of Health, MOH, had paid a salary totaling to 709,470,408 on behalf of county government of Kisumu, which were to be recovered in the same financial year. However, management had paid MOH an amount of 357,612,798, leaving an unpaid balance of 351,857,610. The amount, leaving unpaid balance of 350,857,610. The amount had not been included in the pending bills as at June 2020. Management response. The amount of Kenya shilling 709,470,408 was as inter-entity transfer from the Ministry of Health to County Government of Kisumu. As at now, there is no claim of the outstanding balance by the Ministry of Health. Committee observation. The committee noted that transfers were made in financial year 2013-2014 and that it was not clear whether the payment were recurring expenditure. Committee recommendation. That the committee recommended that the management liaise with MOH, reconcile the pending bills due and agree on modalities of payment, that the matter remain unresolved. G. A pending bill resolution committee was formed and gazetted on 12 July 2019. The process of recruitment of the chairman and how he was to be remunerated was not explained. Management had not explained how the pending bills will be settled. Management response. The management indicated that the recruitment of the chairman of the pending bill resolution committee was done by the county executive committee member for finance and economic planning on 12 July 2019, having been identified from the OAG list of qualified auditor general, that's the office of the auditor general, pre-qualified auditor and auditors and remunerations has been done as per the SR guideline. The county had planned to settle pending bills worth 1.7 billion as at 25 January 2023 as follows. Financial year 2022-2023, QRT 3 phase 1, Kenya shillings 150, phase 2, Kenya shillings 250, 251, and QRT 4 phase 1, Kenya shillings 396 million. Phase 3, Kenya shillings 703 million. Allocation financial year 2022-2023 budget allocations in financial year 2022-2023 budget, Kenya shillings 1.5 billion. Committee observations. That the management failed to provide evidence of their compliance with the due process in the recruitment of the chairman of the pending bills resolution committee. Committee recommendations. That the matter is resolved. That in future, the management must ensure compliance on the recruitment and the remunerations of experts engaged by the county government, key audit matters in the financial statement. Honorable Speaker, key audit matters are those matters that, in the professional judgment of the Auditor General, were of most significant in the audit of the financial statement. The Auditor General indicated that there were no key audit matters to report in the year under review. 5.0, other matters in the financial statement. Honorable Speaker, other audit matters raised by the Auditor General include the following. 5.1, budgetary control and performance. The summary statement of appropriate recurrent and development combined reflects final receipt budget and actual on comparable basis of 11,499,36,874 and Kenya shillings 8,733,502,114 respectively, resulting to underfunding of 2,765,534,000 or 24% of the budget. Similarly, the statement reflects the final expenditure budget and actual on comparable basis of Kenya shillings 11,499,036,874 and Kenya shillings 8,351,693,097 respectively, resulting to an underfunding of Kenya shillings 3,147,343,777 or 27% of the budget. The expenditure was limited to the amount realized. Management response. Management explained that the variance noted were as a result of delay in the disbursement of funds from the national government. The delay has the effect of denying the resident of Kisumu County the benefits accruing from the planned project. The underfunding and under expenditure affected the planned activities and impacted adversely on service delivery to the resident of Kisumu County. Committee recommendations, we said it was resolved. Unresolved prior matters. In the audit report of the previous year, several issues were raised under a report on the financial statement, report on the lawlessness, effectiveness in use of public resources, and report on effectiveness of internal control, risk management, governance. However, the management has not resolved the issues, not given any explanation, nor given any explanation for failure to adhere to the provisions of the Public Sector Accounting Standard Board template and the National Treasury Circular Number AG4/16/3, Volume 1, bracket 9, dated 24 June 2020. Committee observations and recommendations. The issue mentioned have been recurring in the subsequent audit reports and dealt with individuals. However, generally, the county government has not implemented the prior year audit resolutions on the matters, and as such, the matter of unresolved prior year audit issues remain unresolved. Below is a matrix of the recurring prior year matters which remain unresolved. The figure is actually showing very clearly the audit matters which we are talking about. One of them is violation of financial regulations. Frequency from 2018 to 2019, 3 times. Now, 2019, 2020, 7 times. Those are the recurrence. They recur. The audit matters, the queries which the Auditor General has been actually asking frequent. Failure to reconcile books of records, 1 in 2018, 2019, 20, you see, it is 1. Pending bills, 1, it recurred 1. 2019, 2020, it also recurred 1. No value for money, 1. 2019, 2020, it was not actually noted. Weak control system, internal system. Once, now 2019, 2020, it was 4 times. Now the figure down there, details of recurring audit issues that were of highlights in 2018, 2020. Classification of audit issues, violation of actually the financial regulations, number of queries asked on that specific matter is 3. That now we talk about the irregular payment of honoraria allowances amounting to 12,167,444. That is there. There is also irregular rental expenditure, 42,315,000. That was an audit query. Non-compliance with PFMA Act 2019. Now we also have the compensation to employees. It is not applicable actually there. Pending bills. The number of queries, it was 1. Failure, but what are the queries? It was the failure to pay pending bills amounting to 6,139,091. No value for money, unutilized lease of office premises, that is 19,200,000. Now weak internal control, it was 1. The issue concern was non-issue of impressed warrant to officers. I mean, it is not applicable way, really. Others which were noted were non-compliance on ethnic composition, that was there, unresolved prior year, budget control and performance. Report on lawlessness and effectiveness in use of public resource. Honorable Speaker, the issue of lawlessness and effectiveness in use of public resources, the Auditor General observed that, as required in Article 229(6) of the Constitution, because of the significance of the matter discussed in the basis of conclusion on lawlessness and effectiveness in use of public resources, sections of the report, I confirm that public resources have not been applied lawfully and in an effective way. Non-compliance with the law and ethnic composition. An analysis of June 2020 payroll revealed that the county executive had a total of 3,346 permanent and pensionable employees, out of which 2,890, that is 86%, were from the dominant ethnic community in the county. This is contrary to Section 7(1) and 2 of the National Cohesion and Integration Act 2018, which states that all public offices shall seek to represent the diversity of the people of Kenya in employment of staff, that no public institution shall have more than 1/3 of its staff establishment from the same ethnic community. In the circumstances, management is in breach of the law. Management response. The county government of Kisumu is an equal opportunity employer. Women, youth, and persons with disability who meet specified requirements are encouraged to apply to vacancies during recruitment drive. Committee observation. On Speaker, the committee observed that the issue had been recurring in the Auditor General's report, and the management had continuously failed to provide evidence of commitment to bridging the ethnic gap. Committee recommendation that audit issue remain unresolved. Non-compliance of law on the budget process. On Speaker, the Auditor General observed that the management did not provide supporting documents for the county executive budget for the financial year 2019-2020. There was no evidence provided to show that the county budget review and outlook paper, CIPROT, and the debt policy document was submitted to the county executive committee for approval by 14th October 2018, published and publicized by 30th October 2018. Further, the budget policy statement and policy public participation process document, including invitations, notices, attendance, register, and the minutes of the quorum meetings were not availed for audit review. This is contrary to Public Finance Management Act 2012, Section 125, 137, and 137. Section 85 of the country, Section 87 of the County Government Act 2012, and Section 21 to 28 of the Kisumu County Public Participation Act 2015. The management was therefore in breach of the law. Management responded that the county adhered to requirements of Public Finance Management Act 2012 in preparation for the budget, CPROP, and debt policy paper. The management added that they provided the evidence of submission of this document to the County Executive Committee meeting to the Auditor General. Committee observation. The management only availed documents supporting the budget-making process during the time of committee deliberations and not during the time of audit. Committee recommendations. That the issue is resolved. However, the committee recommended that going forward, the management must ensure prompt submission of documents to the auditors as required by the Public Audit Act 2015. Non-compliance with the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act. 1. Irregular procurement of high-route ambulances. Honorable Speaker, the Auditor General observed that the management spent an amount of Kenya shillings 28,438,500 shillings for the purchase of 3 high-route ambulances. The Tender Evaluation Committee minutes indicated that only one bidder submitted the bid and was awarded the tender. This was contrary to Regulation 54.3 of the Public Procurement and Disposal Regulations 2006 that requires minimum of at least 10 suppliers from pre-qualified list for the use of restricted tendering. Even though the committee recommended the negotiations with the bidder on the price, there is no evidence that this was done. Management response that the request to procure the high-route ambulances was done on 8th January 2019. It was advertised at the open tender as an open tender as per Section 92A and 96(2) of the PPADA of 2015 on county portal. Only one bidder responded. The evaluation committee was appointed on 28th January 2019. Opening, that is now the opening and evaluation minute, are attached. Negotiation was done as recommended by evaluation committee. Restricted open tender was topographic error, but should read open tender. Committee observation. 1. The relevant supporting documents were provided for audit review and subsequent verification by the auditor. 2. That the procurement in question was an open tender. Committee recommendation. That the matter is resolved. Procurement plan and lack of e-procurement. The Auditor General noted that the management did not prepare the procurement plan in accordance with the Section 53 of the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act 2015, which requires the plan to contain a description of the procurement item, unit cost, estimated contract value, and the procurement method to be used. Further, bid documents for the year to suppliers were delivered manually instead of using the e-document for the year to suppliers were delivered manually instead of e-procurement as per the Presidential Executive Order on Procurement of Public Goods, works and services by public entities issued on 13th June 2018 that require that from the 1st January 2019, all public procurements will be undertaken through the electronic platform of the Integrated Financial Management Information System, that is IFMIS. The management was therefore in breach of the law. Management response that the procurement plan for the financial year 2019-2020 was done using the prescribed format. sourcing modules in IFMIS system had not been activated by National Treasury, and it took time to fully implement an e-procurement due to delay in training by Treasury staff from Ministry of Finance that had not been done by the end of 30th June 2020. It should be noted that Kisumu County is among the first 5 counties to now go fully e-procurement from sourcing to payment. Committee observation. The procurement plans were provided, verified by the auditor. Recommendations of the committee that the issue is resolved. Irregular payment for debt collection services. The management made payment amounting to 38,050,066 Kenya shillings to a debt collection consultant. However, review of the signed contract agreement revealed that the contract document had terms that reimbursement cost of 7,902,000 were charged to the county executive, yet they were not initially in the tender document. These costs were also not supported with the receipts and such report from the reimbursement claim. The invoices issued by the consultant indicated that the rates were exclusive of VAT, but the contract stated that they were to be inclusive. Further, for the digitized 17,408 plots as at 30th June 2020, the consultant had billed and been paid a sum of 30,148,660. However, the signed contract agreement had specified the rate of 1,500, inclusive of VAT per plot. The cost would have been 26,112,000, therefore resulting in overpayment of 4,036,660. Consequently, the value for money on the additional cost spent on the contract may not have been realized. Management response. The submission by the management was in agreement with the Auditor General that it was true that the county engaged the service of the Collection Africa in debt collection. However, there was some payment made without verified receipts of reimbursable cost. This came out in the verification committee of Collection Africa due, and there was a recommendation that subsequent payment of their authenticated due should be less the reimbursable cost paid earlier. The same treatment should be for the VAT cost, which was inclusive in their quote of Kenya shillings 1,500 parcel digitalized. Committee observation. 1. The committee observed that the value of the money on the additional cost spent on the contract may not have been realized, and that the management was not keen on deliberately failed to verify approval for payment during voucher processing. 2. Moreover, the management did not demonstrate measures taken to recover the loss. Committee recommendations. 1. That the accounting officer, finance, and economic planning provide evidence of recovery of Kenya shillings 4,036,660 overpaid to Collection Africa within 14 days upon adoption of this report. 2. That the failure by the accounting officer to provide the above evidence of the recovery in 20 days, pursuant and in 90 days, pursuant to Article 226(5) of the Constitution of Kenya, 2010, the County Executive Committee member for Finance and Economic Planning initiated recovery of Kenya shillings 4,036,066 from the then accounting officer who authorized the irregular payment. 3. That the matter remain unresolved. Compliance with the Kisumu County COVID-19 Emergency Fund Regulations 2020. In the audit report, the Auditor General found that during the year under review, management opened an independent account to receive and expense COVID-19 fund However, the account operated at SBM Bank under the COVID-19 response, Kisumu County, was opened before the fund was enacted. The account opening instructions and approval by the National Treasury were not provided for audit review. It was therefore not possible to confirm if the fund account was opened as required by the Public Finance Management Act 2012. The County Government Regulations 2015, Section 82(1), and the Kisumu County COVID-19 Emergency Fund Regulations 2020, which requires the county government to open an account, an independent account to receive and expend COVID-19 fund. Further, the county received a total of 217,520,000 from the CRF account for the utilization to fight COVID-19 pandemic, which comprises of 159,820,000 from the national government, Kenya shillings 50 million from the county-owned fund, and 7,700,000 from the grant from Danida. The county further received 400 million from the national government, Ministry of Health, which was transferred directly to Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Teaching and Referral Hospital. No funds had been utilized as at 30th June 2020. No explanation was provided for the delay, given that it was meant for emergency responses. The residents of Kisumu County had not benefited from the fund, totaling to 217,520,000. In addition, management paid 4,447,600 to two consultancy firms under other operating expenses for the development of strategic plan for two departments. The management had invited bid under the request for quotation from 3 firms, but 2 were eliminated at the preliminary evaluation stage. The firm invited were not in the pre-qualified list of suppliers, contrary to Section 95 of the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act 2015. The process was therefore also non-competitive, as only one firm was evaluated to the technical committee and financial proposal. The report were yet to be implemented, as they have not yet been approved by executive for implementation. Management also paid an amount of Kenya shillings 136,895,906 under emergency relief and refugee assistance directly from the COVID-19 county treasury. Further, a direct supply of 5,311,700 for blankets and masks, gumboots, gloves was made without supporting documents to justify the same. This is contrary to Public Finance Management Act 2012, Section 110. That states that a county executive committee may, with approval of the county assembly, establish an emergency fund for the county government. Consequently, the management was in breach of the law. Management responded that in response to COVID-19 emergency in the county, the county government of Kisumu formed a committee called Kekosco to help in mobilization of funds and management of the pandemic. Kekosco, an ad hoc committee, approved the establishment of the fund and opening of the account due to the nature of the pandemic. Reasons being, county had to start citing funds from well-wishers. Committee observation. The management provided documentary evidence to support their responses, although the auditor noted that the same were provided late. Committee recommendations. The committee recommended that the matter was solved. Non-compliance with the law on fiscal responsibility. Wage bill. During the year under review, the total compensation for employees amounted to Kenya shillings 4,275,456, which is 49% of total receipt of the 8 billion 733 million 502,114 as reflected in the statement of receipts and payment. This contravenes section 25(1) and B of the Public Finance Management County Government Regulations 2015, which states that compensation for employees should not exceed 35% of the county government total revenue for the year. Consequently, the management was in breach of the law. Management response. The county government of Kisumu is aware of the huge wage bill and is taking the following measures to mitigate this. 1, restructuring of government. This has led to a merging of ministries and departments and reduction of personnel by job enrichment and enlargement of the position previously held by chief officers and directors. This had been evidenced by recent adverts for chief officers and directors that has reduced the number of chief officers to 10 from 13 and director from the 27 to 20, saving the government Kenya shillings 17,901,120 annually in salaries and wages. 2, early 2020, the world experienced global economic shock following the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic, which disrupted how business and services are offered and conducted. This led to redundancies in employment, closures of revenue, generating activities, and the issuance of moratorium COVID-19 tax relief to enable business and individuals stay afloat. The national government, in response to the harsh economic situations, came up with a voluntary salary cut program to enable it save on expenditure and reduce the wage bill. This was replicated in the county government too. The county government had closed public markets, public parks, spaces in compliance with the directive from the Ministry of Health in controlling the spread of the infection. Payments of land rates and advertising, single business permits, renewal, billboards and public display charges, among other levies by the county government, was at all-time low, and this led to low revenue in contrast to the project revenue. Delays in disbursement of the equitable share from the exchequer affected the running of programs for service delivery, such as timely payment, lighting and collection of garbage within markets and trade centers led to refusal by traders to pay taxes and levies. In order to mitigate the high number of infections, the county government, with support from the national government boarded new health workers to combat the disease, which also led to increase in wages. Low revenue collection experience during the pandemic impacted negatively on the personnel emolument ratio. Committee observations. The matter has been recurring over the last financial year. The committee noted and appreciated the county government, that the county government had started taking appropriate mechanisms aimed at reducing the wage bill, such as the reduction of a number of chief officers and directors. Committee recommendations that despite the elaborate management response and the mechanism put in place to reduce the wage bill, the issues still remain unresolved, as the wage bill still remain over and above what the law stipulates as observed by the Auditor General. That going forward, the management must put in place mechanisms that would ensure progressive compliance with the law on wage bill. Long-standing impressed on Speaker, the Auditor General observed that the statement of assets and liabilities reflects account receivable. Outstanding interest of Kenya shillings 114,831,010. However, there was no evidence that interest had been surrendered or accumulated for as at 30th June 2020. Further, a sample of employees with outstanding interest indicated that several employees were issued with multiple interest before surrender of other previous issued to them. The above is contrary to Regulation 93(5) of the Public Finance Management County Government Regulations 2015 that requires that interest be surrendered or accounted for within 7 working days after returning to duty stations. Consequently, the management was in breach of the law. Management response. The observation by the auditor is true. That is the management response. However, to cure the problem of giving outstanding interest or delay in surrender of interest, the management initiated the process of recovering the same, and to date, an amount of 22,229,644 have since been recorded. Committee observation. Honorable Speaker, from the response at committee deliberations, it was noted that the issue of unsurrendered interest has always been in the Auditor General report, with no clear solutions to increasing receivable from the staff. 2, further, the committee observed that the management failed to ensure that the issuance of interest is in accordance with the regulations governing interest, and that any overdue interest are recovered with interest as required by the regulations. 3, the management indicated that legal actions was taken by the management through the county secretary in cases of unsurrendered interest. However, the management failed to provide evidence of any of such actions. 4, the committee noted that the following samples of the officers have outstanding interest amounting to Kenya shillings 300,000 and above. Government of Kenya Civil Service, IPPD, payroll by product interest recovery for the month of June, employees vote. It is very clear, and we have to state very clear. Payroll number, they have their payroll numbers, and I have to read the names. Mr. Sospita Mimba Onunga. He had a balance of 2,102,627.15. Mr. Evans Odiwuor Alala, 1,067,444.5. Bernard Kagunza, 861,533.65. Mr. Daniel Okoth Ogada, 839,027.27. Patrick Madanji, 770,496.05. Geoffrey Uchieng, 749,657. Impressed. Kennedy Udhiambo Chieng, 498,741.60. George Rombo Orude, 485,112.45. Mr. Daisy Akinyo Kal, 466,766.50. Nelson Mandela Okure, 10.0 cents. Mr. John Ngere Okwama, 309,167.95. Recommendations, committee recommendations. Remember, it was from 300 and above, those who had 300 and above. Committee recommendations that pursuant to regulations number 93, 6, and 7 of the Public Finance Management Act 2015, county government regulations the accounting officer for finance and accounting and economic planning immediately initiates recovery of all outstanding interest pending from all officers with pending interest, and a report on the status of such recoveries be submitted to the Assembly within 90 days upon adoption of this report. 2, that failure to initiate the above recoveries and pursuant to regulations number 93(7) of the PFM Act, regulation 2015, the county executive committee member initiates a recovery of the same from the accounting officer. That the matter remain unresolved. Report on effectiveness of internal control and risk management and governance. Honorable Speaker, on effectiveness of internal control, risk management and governance, the Auditor General concluded that, as required by Section 7(1)(a) of the Public Audit Act 2015, because of the significance of the matter discussed in the basis of conclusion on effectiveness of internal control, risk management and governance section of my report, based on the audit procurement performed, the Auditor General confirmed that internal control, risk management and governance were not effective on the basis of the following. 1, 7.1, lack of updated fixed asset register. An expired summary of fixed asset register with the financial statement indicated a total asset cost of Kenya shillings 5,074,776,995 as at 30th June 2020. However, the county executive did not have an up-to-date consolidated fixed asset register, as only 3 departments, namely Department of Education, ICT, Human Resource Development, Department of Water and Sewerage System, and the Department of Agriculture, Irrigation, Livestock and Fisheries, had submitted the asset register to the Asset Register Consolidation Committee that is charged with the responsibility of consolidating the assets owned by the county executive. However, the register kept by the Department of Education did not include the construction of ECD's facilities. In addition, the county executive had not valued 8 parcels of land for the complete recording in the register. In addition, assets previously held by the de facto local authorities had not been fully identified, secured, and taken on charge. Consequently, the ownership, accuracy, completeness of the existing asset registered could not be confirmed for the year ended 30th June 2020. Honorable members, are you getting me? Management response. The county government had always submitted the fixed asset register audit and has since updated this fixed asset register as submitted to the Office of the Auditor General. Committee deliberations. On Speaker, during the review of the matter, the committee noted that the management failed to maintain an updated asset and register of the assets owned by the county government. Honorable members, see, there's a lot of, there's always a lie on the part of the executive. Committee recommendations. 1, that going forward, the management must ensure that an asset register is maintained and regularly updated. 2, that this matter remain unresolved. Weak internal audit unit. During the year under review, the internal audit unit had only 4 technical officers, casting doubt on the capacity of the officers to audit the 14 departments. Although the audit committee was formed on 17th May 2018, there was no evidence that it had any meeting in the year. In the circumstances, it has not been possible to confirm existence of an effective internal control and governance mechanism on the operations. Management response. It is true that the internal audit department lacks staff capacity at the time of audit during the financial year 2019-2020, which greatly affected our normal operations in terms of coverage of risk based on annual work plan and special audit, which are generated from the time to time and on need basis. However, the management intervened through deployment of technical staffs in the number of boosts in number to boost staff capacity. These are staffs who are transferred from other departments with relevant qualifications and experience attached. Please find deployment letters. Okay. It is attached. The deployment letters are attached there to confirm that they added only 4 and they have more than departments. Committee deliberations and observations. The management provided internal audit reports that were verified by the Auditor General as justifications of existence of their internal audit unit and process. Despite its existence, the department was lean and weak in terms of system and process. The management failed to provide evidence of audit committee meeting during the time of audit and during the committee deliberations. Honorable members, when we have the internal auditing, actually that is the internal mechanism. It is always very clear that we could detect most of these anomalies earlier, before even the bigger auditor, the Auditor General comes. So I hope you are understanding there the need of internal auditing system. Committee recommendations that going forward, the management must ensure compliance with section 172.1 that requires the audit committee to meet at least once in every 3 months. The committee cleared the matter as resolved. Committee sources, human resource matter. Review of the human resource management record revealed that the county executive did not have, 1, an approved staff establishment, an annual recruitment plan, a clear basis for transfer and promotion. In the circumstances, it is not known how and on what basis the county public service board managed the recruitment of human resource. 2, a training committee as provided in the section 9.6 of the county public service human resource policy and procurement manual 2015, which states that a training committee will be established to continuously consider and review training needs from all the departments in order to ensure fairness, equity, and relevance. 7.5, weak applications of informal information communication technology, ICT. Review of the county information communication technology, ICT platform, revealed that the county executive did not have ICT steering and a strategic committee, and there was no formally approved ICT security policy to ensure data confidentiality, integrity, and availability. The absence of an approved security policy indicates that there is no direction to maintain information security across the organization and to properly safeguard the organization's assets. Further, there was no approved ICT continuity plan on disaster recovery plan, hence posing a risk of not recovering its normal operations data in the case of loss. The entity also has no mechanism of storing system backup data off-site. Neither does it implement an off-site storage for copies of relevant documents, and no approval backup and retention strategy for storing system data and storing them off-site. Therefore, with no system data backup existing and disaster occur, the country may not be able to continually service normal management response. The county executive has now operationalized the committee, attached or appointing letters. They attached it. Appointment of the Digitalization and Automation Steering Committee, dated 19th August 2020. 3, appointment of Digitalization and Automation Technical Committee, dated 19/20/21, August 2020. 4, the county started and completed ICT policy formulation in the 2020-2021 financial year. Attached is the draft ICT policy dated 2021. Okay. Draft policy is pending public participation and subsequent approval and adoption by the county assembly. The delay in public participation approval results from lack of budgetary allocations. However, it is budgeted for and planned to be done in in the current financial year 2022-2023. 5, currently attached, there's a attached copy, work plan for directions, it's also there. 5, the ICT policy document has addressed issues including data confidentiality, integrity, availability, offers clear direction to maintain information security and safeguard country assets. 3, information continuity and disaster recovery plan is part of the ICT policy document. Refer to the attached draft. There's a draft data backup page. It's also there. Additionally, the county has undertaken or implemented the below actions towards addressing identified. 1, acquiring a virtual recovery plan, VPS, also referred to as web server, hosting from Sasa Host Limited for offsite secure storage, access of data, referred to attached. Okay, there's an agreement, there's something there. The county also has existing data center and system. Committee observations. 1, the committee noted that this has been a recurring audit issue. 2, the committee noted that despite the management indicating that they had formulated an ACT policy that will address the issue raised by the Auditor General, the said policy was yet to be submitted to the County Assembly for consideration. So those are like somebody promising what is not there and not in law. Weak applications of integrated financial management information system. Review of the IFMIS transactions and analysis of local purchase order posted in IFMIS show that 2 LPOs and LSO billed exceed the commitment estimated cost of over 30%. This may be indication of either poor market survey or of goods and services procured or an entity issuing LPOs and LSO regardless of the committed amount. The IFMIS control is also weak as it allows excess billing. That is what we detected. Further analysis of LPOs and LSOs process against the payment made revealed that there were 2,910 LPOs and LSO for amount totaling to 2,999,380,035 that were paid for, but the value of the goods services was not captured in IFMIS. While there were 2,745 LPOs and LSOs for cumulative amount of 3,139,495,077 that were paid to vendors who had not been defined in IFMIS as at 30th June 2020. In addition, analysis of the vendor list in IFMIS indicated that there were vendors who had different suppliers' numbers but similar vendors' names, but management used both suppliers' numbers to process invoices and make payments to the vendors. There were 92 payments to vendors for amount totaling to 234,591,399, whose invoices had not been captured in IFMIS. Further, analysis of the payment details report show that there were 3 transactions amounting to 134,563,417 that were paid in cash as per the item description. Consequently, it has not been possible to confirm the existence of effective utilization of IFMIS functionality and control in the management of public resource. Management response. The management responded that the audit observation was true. Members, we are getting it very clear. It was due to staff capacity challenge. Sourcing modules in IFMIS system had not been activated by the National Treasury. It took time to fully implement e-procurement due to delay in training by the Treasury staff from Ministry of Finance that had not been done by the end of, see, blame is going back to the national government and we have all our resources. Committee deliberations and observation. On Speaker, the committee observed that the management is not keen in ensuring that IFMIS system and other applications are well utilized. 2, that there is need for retraining of the staff on the efficient use of IFMIS system in the management of public resource. Recommendations. 1, that going forward, the management must ensure that appropriate measures are taken to increase efficiency in the use of IFMIS system. 2, that in the subsequent financial year 2023-2024, the management organizes for the training of staff on the efficient use of IFMIS system in the management of public resources. 3, that this matter remain unresolved. 7.6, long outstanding rate arrears. Examination of the live forms report revealed that land rates amounting to 1,779,036 were still in arrears as at 30th June 2020. These have fallen due to the years and no effort have been made to collect them. In the circumstances, the Auditor General was unable to confirm the existence of the effective debt collection mechanism. Management response. The land rates payment by rate payers were affected by COVID-19 pandemic. The county government of Kisumu has since initiated a personalized demand arrangements for payments of the rate by the citizen. Committee deliberations and observation. The committee noted that the management is yet to put in place effective debt collection mechanism. The issue is recurring audit matter. Committee recommendations that the management must put in place effective debt collection mechanism to drive the county towards recovery of the land rates amounting to 1,037,779,036. That the progress report on the same be submitted to the Assembly within a period of 3 months upon adoption of the report, and that they should remain unresolved. When we talk about the auditors, there's a resolved issue and unresolved issue. When it is unresolved issue, it means that issue is not resolved by the auditor and the committee. Summary of committee observations findings. Honorable Speaker, based on the foregoing audit issue raised by the Auditor General, the management responses and committee interrogations on the issue raised, the committee herein make the following overall findings. 1, the committee finds that, contrary to section 27.3 D, Roman 2, F, and G of the County Assembly Powers and Privileges Act 2017, the accounting officer on various occasions willfully lied to and misled the committee on the provision required documents and information of the audit. In many occasions, the accounting officer informed the committee both verbally and on paper that documents had not been provided to the auditor, a matter that the auditors disputed many times. 2, in the many occasions, the accounting officer failed to provide to the auditors requisite documents for purpose of public audit contrary to section 21 of the Public Audit Act 2021, which gives the auditors power to obtain information. 3, that is, in many occasions, the accounting officer committed an offense under the Public Audit Act 2015, section 62, 1, and B, and C. These sections of the law states that a person shall not, 1, without justification, fail to provide information required under the Act. 2, without justification, fail to provide information within a reasonable time that is required under this Act. 4, with regard to the inaccuracies in financial statement in which the Auditor General noted that the statement of receipts and payment reflected various receipt balances which were at variance with similar balances as per the IFMIS MRR. A, the management in this response indicated that the controller of budget implementation report captured balance brought forward from financial year 2018-2019 of Kenya shillings 1,524,076,529 that had already been reported in the financial year 2018-2019. However, according to the auditor, there were no reconciliation provided to support the same during the time of audit. B, no disbursement schedule was provided to support the receipts of Kenya shillings 91,525,525 for the universal health care. C, it was noted by the Office of the Auditor General that despite the management indicating that they had requested for vote book management system configuration from the National Treasury, there was no status or progress report on the same as at the time of deliberations. 5, with regard to accuracy of county-owned generated receipts amounting to Kenya shilling 811,076,124 in the financial statement and supported county-owned generated receipts. 1, according to the Office of the Auditor General, the overall surcharge deduction were sufficiently supported by IPPD generated records and other authenticated records. The supporting documents were provided later and not during the time of audit. B, there were no response on the revenue that was spent at source. Similarly, there were no evidence of subsequent transfer of county revenue fund. C, the committee observed that a letter of reference, DALF, stroke COLF, stroke Kisumu, stroke GC, stroke FIN6, stroke volume 1, dated 28th January 2021, was written to the branch manager KCB Kisumu branch to transfer all the funds held in the account number 114845 1196 to county revenue fund account number 1141 99 1705. D, however, the committee could not establish whether the subsequent collections in the Maseno ATC are being transferred to the county revenue fund account as required by section 80 and 81 of the PFM regulations 2015. 6, in regards to the accuracy, completeness of the receipt of the Kenya shillings, 23,377,272 reflected as return county revenue fund issued in the statement of receipts and payment for the financial year 2019-2020, that is on return fund to CRA. 1, the committee observed that the transfer disclosed were made in August 2019, which were just 1 month into the new financial year 2019-2020, and that could not account for transfer which ought to have been made after the end of financial year ended 30th June 2020. The payment voucher that were attached related to activities which took place way before the close of financial year, which would have been paid within the financial year. C, the management failed to adhere to the cut-off procedure in case of unpaid commitment as per National Treasury guideline. D, the balance of Kenya shillings 4,229 and 13 related to imprest and operating account was not sufficiently reconciled and explained. E, the committee noted that despite the management indicating that they had committed all the funds, including Kenya shillings 4,229 and 13, 229,013 relating to imprest and operating account, it was against accounting standard and practice to commit imprest and operation cost. F, nevertheless, the management failed to provide any evidence of any such commitment as a lie. 7, in the regard to the accuracy, validity, and completeness of the 4,261,475,456 spent on compensation of employees in the statement of the receipt and payment, the management failed to provide explanation on unsupported expenditure of Kenya shillings 8,865,802 Kenya shillings, and Kenya shillings of 16,402,366. B, Supporting documents on casual attachment attached to the management responses only amounted to 3,597,300, thus leaving unsupported payment or to temporary employees at 5,268,502. Members, you are getting that? C, the management failed to provide the relevant document supporting the expenditure of Kenya shillings 16,402,366 relating to sitting allowances, traveling allowances, airtime, return allowances to members of the County Public Service Board. D, that the management failed to provide the voucher, schedule of pays, approval, support for work done by support done to support the expenditure amounting to Kenya shillings 8,865,802 as highlighted by the Auditor General. E, that the total unsupported expenditure amounting to 21,670,868, comprising of 5,268,502 allegedly paid to temporary employees but could not be supported, and Kenya shillings 16,402,366 includes Kenya shillings 1,235,062 paid as honoraria to employees relating to sitting allowances, traveling allowances, airtime, return allowances to members of the County Public Service Board, all of which could not be supported. 8, on the matter of unsupported payment totaling to Kenya shillings 10,139,479 that was not supported with the relevant document. A, that the management failed to provide supporting documents for Kenya shillings 10,135,479 under use of goods and services during the time of audit. B, the committee noted that without supporting document reference in this matter, there was possible direct loss of Kenya shillings 10,135,479 of public funds. C, that despite that accounting officer's submission that the supporting document had not been provided for audit review as at the time of committee deliberations of the matter, the officers from the Office of the Auditor General disputed and indicated that the documents were not yet to be provided for the audit review. D, the committee finds that contrary to section 27(3) F and G of the County Assembly Powers and Privileges Act 2017, the management willfully lied to them and misled the committee on the provisions of required document for audit. E, the committee finds that the county government of Kisumu does not have a policy on record management. 9, on the irregular insurance cost, the matter of recovery of money lost as a result of insurance of 3 vehicles that had already been insured earlier. 1, the committee observed that the supporting document with respect to the payment of Kenya shillings 4,716,395 for insurance costs were provided provided to the auditors as indicated by the management. However, these were not provided at the time of audit. B, the committee observed that the management failed to provide the insurance certificate for 5 vehicles during the time of audit, contrary to the provision of section 62(1), 60B, and C of the Public Audit Act 2015 on timely provision of documents and evidences for purpose of audit. C, the committee noted that the letter initiating refund of overpayment was done on 3rd May 2023, 6 days before the accounting officer appeared before the committee. See? Yeah, there was also no evidence that the letter was received by the insurance company. The purported letter was therefore to hoodwink the assembly committee. Are you getting that? 10, on the issue of other unsupported expenditure amounting to 36,955,929 that was not supported with payment voucher, procurement, documents, and other related documents. 1, A, that the management failed to provide documents to support the amount of Kenya shillings 36,955,929, both during the time of audit and at the time of committee deliberations, contrary to the management response. B, that the pursuant to section 29(3) D, 2, F, and G of the County Assembly Powers and Privileges Act 2017, the management willfully lied to and misled the committee that despite not providing the document during the time of audit, they had provided them for verification, as at the time of committee deliberation on this matter. Regarding the unsupported expenditure of Kenya shillings 5 million for the renovation of deputy governor's residence, in which no document was provided to provide satisfied work. In addition, tender adverts, regret letters, and other procurement documents were not available for audit review. 1, the relevant document to support the issue raised by the auditor on the matter of renovation done were not provided for verifications. B, the management indicated that the supporting documents were banned. However, this could not be verified. C, there are other several avenues through which management could have used to acquire the supporting documents. It was observed that even if the documents were banned at the Department of Land, Housing, Physical Planning, and Urban Development, as alleged by the management, other copies of the said document could still be accessed from the paying Department of Finance and Economic Planning, or from the contractors. Members, you are getting that? D, the committee observed that this was just bad, an indicator of apparent refusal by the management to provide the document for the evidence, contrary to section 21 of the Public Audit Act 2017. E, that the Accounting Office of Finance and Accounting and Economic Planning violated section 62(1)(b) of the Public Audit Act 2015, which states that a person shall not, without justification, fail to provide information required under this act. Regarding irregular payment for debt collection services, in which an overpayment amounting to 4,036,066 was flagged by the Auditor General. A, the committee observed that the value for money on additional cost of a payment spent on the contract may not have been realized, and that the management was not keen or deliberately failed to verify approval for payment during voucher processing. Moreover, the management did not demonstrate measures taken to recover the loss. There was no evidence of initiation, progress of the money loss. Regarding the loss, 13, regarding the loss outstanding interest in which no evidence was provided to support interest surrender, and several employees were issued multiple interest before surrender or other previous issues. One, from the response and committee deliberations, it was noted that the issue of unsurrendered interest has always been in the Auditor's General Report, with no clear solutions to the increasing receivable from the staff. Further, the committee observed that the management failed to ensure that the issuance of interest is in accordance with the regulations governing interest, and that any overdue interest are recovered with interest at the requirement as required by the regulations. C, the management indicated that legal action was taken by the management, through the county secretary, in cases of unsurrendered interest. However, the management failed to provide evidence of such actions. On the issue of pending bills, the management failed to provide list of eligible pending bills and a report of the pending bills resolution committee during the time of audit. B, that the pending bills were audited through a special audit by the Office of the Auditor General in 2021. C, the management failed to identify and fully indicate details of the debt related to gratuity during the time of audit, the list of pending bills related to the gratuity and medallion awards owed to various staff amounting to 278,268,393 have since been provided and verified. D, the management failed to provide delivery notes, invoices, and other procurement documents for claims of Kenya shillings 86,138,196. The committee also observed that the said amount does not qualify into the pending bill without delivery notes, invoices, and other procurement records. E, that the management failed to provide evidence of their compliance with the due process in the recruitment of chairman of the pending bill resolution committee. Members, I'm almost summary. I'm on the summary of the recommendations. Honorable Speaker, based on the ongoing findings, the committee makes the following recommendations. 1, with regard to accuracy of the financial statement, in which the Auditor General noted that the statement of receipts and payment reflected various receipts balances which were at variance with similar balances as per the IFMIS MRPR. 1A, that the accounting officer submit to this assembly the disbursement schedule to support the receipt of Kenya shillings 91,525,525 for the universal care in a period of not more than 90 days upon adoption of this report. B, that in future, the Chief Officer Finance Accounting or the accounting officer must ensure proper reconciliation to ensure that there is agreement between the figures in the financial statement and IFMIS report. C, that this matter and issue remain unsolved. 2, with regard to accuracy of county-owned generated receipts amounting to Kenya shillings 811,076,124 in the financial year statement, which was unsupported county-owned generated receipt. 1, that the accounting officer submit to the assembly a comprehensive report on the annual own source revenue collected by the ATC for the financial year 2019-2020 in a period of not more than 90 days upon adoption of this report. B, that the accounting officer submit to the assembly in form of report the measures that the management have put in place to ensure that all subsequent revenue collected are remitted to county revenue fund account as per section 80 and 81 of the Public Finance Management Regulations 2015. C, that the accounting officer submit financial statements for financial year 2020-2021 and 2021-2022 relating to the Agricultural Training Center within Kisumu County, all relating to all the agricultural training centers within Kisumu County to the Office of the Auditor General in a period of not more than 90 days upon adoption of this report for special audit. D, that the Chief Officer Finance automates on-source revenue collection due to financial year 2023-2024 and a report on the automation be submitted to this assembly. C, that this issue remain solved. 3, in regard to the accuracy, completeness of receipt of the Kenya shillings 23,337,227 reflects a return county revenue fund issue in the statement of receipts and payment for the year 2019-2020 and returned part to the CRF, County Revenue Fund. 1, that in future, the Chief Officer Finance must ensure that all accounting processes are undertaken through the IFMIS system. B, that in future, the management must ensure that all unspent money is returned back to the county revenue account. C, that this matter remain unsolved. 4, with regard to the accuracy, validity, completeness of the Kenya shillings 4,461,475,456 spent on compensation of employees in the statement of receipts and payment. 1, that the Chief Officer Finance and Economic Planning Accounting Office, that is the accounting officer, submit to the County Assembly supporting documents for payment amounting to Kenya shillings 5,268,502 relating to basic wages of temporary employees and relevant document to support payment amounting to Kenya shillings 16,400,000 and 2,366. That is now including 1,235,062 and 62 paid as honorarium to employees in a period of not more than 90 days upon adoption of this report. The failure by accounting officer to support the amount mentioned above within 90 days upon adoption of this report, the whole amount turned into regular payment. And you know what a regular payment is all about. C, that pursuant to Article 226(5) of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, which states that if the holder of the public office or a political office directs or approves the use of public funds contrary to the law or instructions, the person is liable for any loss arising from the use and shall make good the loss, whether the person remains in the office remain the office holder or no. The County Executive Committee member of Finance, Economic Planning, and ICT, after a lapse of 90 days, immediately initiated the recovery of 16,402,366 and 5,268,502 from the Chief Officer, Public Service Board, and the then Chief Officer, Finance and Economic Planning, respectively. A report on the process be submitted to this County Assembly. This matter remains. On the matter of unsupported payments, totaling 10,139,479, the accounting officer, finance, finance, economic planning, submit to this assembly the report of document for payment amounting to Kenya shillings 10,135,479 in a period of not more than 14 days upon adoption of the report. The failure by the Chief Officer, Finance, Economic Planning to comply with the recommendations, the payment turned irregular. Pursuant to Article 226 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, which states that the holder of the public office of political office direct approve the use of public funds contrary to law or instructions, the person is liable to any loss from that use. Shall make good of that. D, that in order to ensure safekeeping of government records and documents, adhere to that, Section 17, that on the regular foreign travels and subsequent expenses, in which payment of 4,774,172 was made to shipping charges, the accounting officer submit to the County Assembly supporting documents showing how the service provider was sourced to undertake the clearing services and whether costs had been factored in budget and the procurement plan within the period of 90 days approved. That this issue remain unsolved. On the issue of other unsupported expenditure amounting to 36,955,922, that accounting officer, finance, economic planning submit to this assembly through the office of the Auditor General the document supporting the expenditure of Kenya shillings 36,955,299 in a period of not more than 14 days upon adoption of this report, failure to which, by a copy of this report, the matter be automatically referred to Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission for further investigation for possible loss of public funds. I think there you can see there's a leeway. We have left a lot of leeway there to be exploited. This is a matter remain unsolved. 9, that the accounting officer provide the said supporting document from the finance and accounting.
Honorable Chair,
Okay.
Could you please consult in low tones? Thank you, Honorable Member. Proceed, Honorable Ken.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
No, this is a unique one. Thank you, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on the matter of inaccuracies in the statement of cash flows, 1, that the accounting officer submit to this assembly evidence of prior year adjustment within a period of 90 days upon adoption of this report. B, that going forward, the management must ensure that the financial statement represent a true and fair position of the County Assembly. C, that the matter remain unresolved. 11, regarding the issue of the pending bills during the financial year 2019-2020, the committee recommends the following. 1, that the accounting officer finance submit to the County Assembly the details of the eligible pending bills as at end of 2019-2020 within 90 days upon adoption of the report. B, that the Auditor General submit to the County Assembly the special audit report on the pending bill audited by the Auditor General within a period of 90 days upon adoption of this report. C, that the Chief Officer Finance submit to the County Assembly a comprehensive list of all unsupported pending bills totaling to 86,138,196 within 90 days upon adoption of this report for purpose of consideration. D, that the pending bills remain unresolved. Now, 12, regarding the Kenya shillings 4,036,660 irregular payments for debt collection in paid to Collection Africa Limited consultant, the committee recommends 1, that the accounting officer, finance and accounting planning provide evidence of recovery of Kenya shillings 4,036,660 overpaid to Collection Africa within 14 days upon adoption of this report, failure to which pursuant to section Article 226(5) of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, the County Executive Committee member for Finance and Executive Planning initiated recovery of 4,036,660 from the then accounting officer, the then Chief Officer Finance, who authorized the irregular payment, that the matter remain unsolved. Okay. Regarding the long-standing interest, that pursuant to Section 9, pursuant to Regulation 9, number 93, 6, and 7 of the Public Finance Management Act 2015, county government, that is now county government, regulations, the accounting officer of finance and economic planning immediately initiates recovery of all outstanding interest pending from all officers with the pending interest, and report on the status of such recovery be submitted to the county within 90 days, County Assembly within 90 days upon adoption of this report. B, that failure to initiate the above recovery pursuant to section failure to regulate regulations number 93.7 of the PFM regulations 2015, the County Executive Committee member initiates a recovery of the same from the accounting officer, that the matter remain unsolved. 14, that the committee on implementation immediately initiate a follow-up of all the recommendations herein and report on the status of implementation be brought to this House in a period of more than 90 days upon adoption of this report. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, I hereby request that this House adopt this report of the Public Accounts and Investment Committee on the consideration of the Auditor General report on the financial statement of the County Executive of Kisumu for the year ended 30th June 2020. May I call upon Honorable Were to second?
Yes, the Honorable James Were.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is a noble report, a thoroughly researched report. Mr. Speaker, the committee has pinpointed a lot of issues that need to be tackled by the executive. There are matters that still remains unresolved. And Mr. Speaker, if you go through the report, you will find that there are a lot of payments that were done which were not supported. The documents were not availed. And moving forward, Mr. Speaker, I think the executive should be equal to the task. Otherwise, I beg to support. Thank you.
Thank you, honorable members. A motion has been moved on a report by the Committee of Public Accounts and Investment on their consideration of the Auditor General report on financial statements of Kisumu County Executive for the year ended 30th June 2020. A motion moved by the Chair, Honorable Ken Ouko, and seconded by a member, Honorable James Wele. And now I propose to put a question that we open this report for debate. Yes, Geoffrey Warindo.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Let me take this first opportunity to congratulate and thank the Pigback Committee, the chair, for the detailed report that they have given us. Indeed, this is one of the detailed reports that we are having to discuss in this house. The in-depth analysis was done, and we can all tell how the county has been spending the resources that is in our coffers. Mr. Speaker, I don't want to vilify those in the offices that have been mentioned, neither do I want to vilify the process of recruitment that was done, but I want to believe that those who were placed in these offices knew exactly what they were expected to do. If you are in the Office of Finance, I want to believe that this person perfectly understands the Constitution of Kenya 2020, mostly Article 226, the Public Audit Act 2015, and the Public Finance Management Act 2012. And there are standards that have been put there on how public resources are supposed to be used. If you followed the report very well, then it begs a lot of question on us, and one might even wonder where the county is headed to. If those who are placed in these offices cannot follow the guidelines and the rules that have been put in place to safeguard the resources that have been given to us. I had issue on this in Article 5.0 in that report, where we have unresolved prior year matters. Most of the issues that have been raised in the report, most of them are unresolved. I don't know the action that is going to be taken after that, because if you look at even the previous years, the reports, the issues that were unresolved, there were no communication, there are no answers that were given. Since 2019, the reports are being brought here. In many cases, we even call those who are responsible, we talk to them, and we agree, and we make the recommendations on what we are supposed to do going forward. But it's like we are taking them as stories. They are not taking these recommendations seriously. Then, if you look at 6.6, Article 6.6 in that report, the long outstanding interest, these people still exist and they're there. Some of them, I want to believe, are still working with the county government, and they owe the county some interest up to now, and the money has not been recovered to date. Then the most funny one was how the COVID fund was handled. But then we used to talk about it, that we had the COVID millionaires and billionaires nationally. Little did I know that even in the county, at the county level, we also had the COVID millionaires. I think it was like a cash cow for some of us. How the money was spent and how it was used begs a lot of question. But the only good thing is that we've made so many recommendations there. And we want the implementation committee to help us in finding a way on how these recommendations can be resolved. Otherwise, I beg to support the report. Thank you.
Yes, oiko pete.
Mr. Speaker, let me also look at this report a little and see if there is something I can open my mouth for. Mr. Speaker, when I look at page 7, the meaning of adverse opinion is being explained there, what an advice report is. And I believe this audited report was an adverse report. So, what an adverse report has been explained there, why our report was classified as adverse. And Mr. Speaker, this report was taken to the Senate, and the Senate brought it back to the Assembly. So when we are being told that oversight is our primary role, let us not quarrel. When we are being told that we should be up to the task, let us not insult those who say that. Let us understand, analyze what message is being passed to us. Because, Mr. Speaker, on the ground, when we go to the rural area, you cannot tell a nursery kid to go look after the animals when the farms are here and there. You look for a mature girl, a mature boy to look after the animals. So when the maturity at the assembly is also being looked into, let us not feel offended. So that we are able to go through this kind of report and make some decision, Mr. Speaker. I hope members of the plenary are listening to that. Mr. Speaker, this report, as presented by the PICPAC committee, and I've seen here, the officers of the Auditor General were with them to help them go through this report. That was a credit. The presence of the auditors when they were interrogating the county executive finance department, that was a credit, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, if I may digress a little, this kind of report may be tedious for us at times to go through. And at times I say, there are some committees which need induction for every one of us. And that is the committee of PICPAC and the budget. A general induction for all the members on the role of PICPAC and finance also, finance committee and budget is very critical. And that is when some of us will be able to grasp some knowledge on these reports. Mr. Speaker, that is just by the way for your information so that we are helped. Mr. Speaker, when I look at this report from page 63, summary of committee observations and findings, up 63 to 67. Then I go, summary of recommendations by the committee from page 68 to 72. What picture is created? They have supported the recommendation of the Office of the Auditor General that our finance department has failed the county. Poor management of finances in Kisumu County. That is the picture here. And what interests me and opens my eye is the on-source revenue. What they have said about the on-source revenue. What is spent at source and what is taken to the account cannot balance. Leaders of Kisumu County, on-source revenue which we are being accused to have failed to collect adequately, the Auditor General is telling us there's money being spent at source. The money being taken to county fund account, the two cannot balance. And then when it comes to general expenditure, no proper record. And this is a record of 2019-2020. 2019-2020 financial year, that was the year the current minister, Waziri, entered that office. So it's the one, all these monies were spent under his watch. I know there was a chief officer there who died. Then a bureau was roped in. So in effect, the report is condemning the finance minister that he has failed the county of Kisumu. That is what the report is saying. And with the recommendation of the report is supposed to submit to this assembly 30 days, 90 days, 60 days. That means he has not been left free. This report will still haunt him. The report will still haunt him. That is a report that has been brought to us. And I want to see how serious this assembly is on this report. Because the people of Kisumu are busy watching us. The poor financial management in Kisumu County that forced the Senate to bring the report to the Assembly, because this is our primary duty. Where are we going to reach with this report?
Order, Honorable Oeko. This report is not brought to this Assembly by the Senate. This report is from the Office of the Auditor General to the County Assembly of Kisumu, and then it was committed to the Committee of Public Accounts and Investment. So I wanted to guide you as you make submissions.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker. But you see, we read newspapers, we listen to news. We read newspapers, we listen to news. So things that happen in Kenya, we know. So, honorable members, this is where we listen to the news. Radio Ramogi is also there. Mr. Speaker, I think the summary I've made is enough so that the next time, when there's the relevant committee that will pick up this, we have the facts that we shall follow. But the financial report is a very big embarrassment to the people of Kisumu. I so submit.
Yes, the Honorable Maurice.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for according me this opportunity, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the long-awaited report, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to commend the good job done by the Chair, Public Account Committee. Job well done, my fellow colleague. Mr. Speaker, it's today clearly indicate that the public funds are being misused by some of our rogue officers, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if you go through the report, Mr. Speaker, you will notice the omission of PFM Act 206, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I was so surprised when all this has happened and we have been having a watchdog, which is ourselves, Mr. Speaker, to be said. Mr. Speaker, finally, the House today can realize how the rogue officers have jeopardized the development of this great county, Mr. Speaker. This is impunity.
What's your point of order, honorable member?
I really wanted him to explain further the rogue officer in question that we are discussing, because that seems to be a serious word to be used in this assembly, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Ngeta, could you please explain the wrong officer?
Mr. Speaker, if you see a professional officer who is not following the rules and the regulations of the PFM Act, Mr. Speaker, that's a rogue officer.
Thank you. Proceed, honorable member. I think now the honorable member for Kolwa Central is guided properly.
Mr. Speaker, he wanted to be heard and to be seen. He's in the house, we can see him after perennial absenteeism, Mr. Speaker. So we can notice him. Mr. Speaker, I want to support the report and I do concur with the committee. Otherwise, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I rest my case.
Thank you. Yes, the honorable member for Central Seme.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for according me the chance. I want to commend the Public Accounts and Investment Committee, the chair and the group committee members for such an elaborate report. Mr. Speaker, this is not the first time that a report is brought to this county assembly. The county assembly members, our work is oversight, representation, and making laws. Just recently, we are talking about adding our allowances and salaries. And you can see the kind of work that is involved in this job. This is so much work, this work of oversight. That is such an elaborate report, almost 82 pages. And I want to commend the chair for reading such a long report with so many recommendations, so many findings from the committee. I cannot name them one by one, but I guess members, as the chair was reading, you could see quite a lot of discrepancies in the report. That in a report, there are no delivery notes, there are no invoices, there are no procurement records, yet we come and read the report. The next level is supposed to be implementation committee, and I'm sure the report will be closed. It is quite sad, Mr. Speaker. Sometimes I feel so sad when I stand up to support a report, especially this report that belongs to my committee of public accounts. That is such a serious report that if it can be taken with a lot of seriousness. Mr. Speaker, we've lost a lot of funds as a county, and if we just take it like anyway, let them read the report and we close it and we move on. As a county, yes, we are going to still lose funds, even in the next report, 2021, 2022, 2023. If that is the norm, Mr. Speaker, I feel so sad for this house. Let this house do the work of oversight. Let us take this work serious. You can imagine the number of members that are seated here when such a serious report is being read. Yet at other times when we are doing other things, you see a full house. So members, can we just get it serious that this is a very serious report and I want to support it, even if other members do not support it. But I would want to see members whose work is oversight, saying that this is a serious report, let us support it. Yet other members are saying, oh, you should not support the report. Mr. Speaker, I stand to support the report. I own it. I was in that committee. We went through. We were taken out. We slept for 2 nights going through the report. I stand to support.
Yes, the Honorable Peter Henry Obaso.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me start by commending the chair and the whole committee for the job well done on this comprehensive, long report. And Mr. Speaker, I will advise the committee that next time they should try to summarize the report in a way of graphs and the other ways. Mr. Speaker, going by the report, you can see that our funds have been lost and we have loopholes, mostly on funds being allocated for operation and maintenance, commonly referred to as O&M. I think this is where these people are getting loopholes and using funds that they cannot be accounted for. Thirdly, on also revenue, I think the automation of revenue collection had started earlier, but it stopped sometimes back. I don't know why it stopped, but I think it is the best way of revenue collection that can be accounted for. Mr. Speaker, going by the report, I wish to submit my points and say that I support the report. Thank you.
Yes, the honorable member for Kolwa Central.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity, and I want to appreciate the Secretariat led by the clerk, who is my friend, for the good work done. I also want to appreciate and say the members sat down and discussed the report. Although in my take or view, the members were trying just to dance, but not eat straight to the point, by giving out or pointing out that this is the office that we should blame, and this is what measures that we should take as an assembly, so that so and so officer who is responsible for this should also be shown the door or be put to step aside. Mr. Speaker, if you recall well, one of the PAC chairman in Parliament that did a wonderful and a serious job, still remembered up to date, is Honorable Boni Alwale, some time back, with this common word, Kimunya must go. And Pick and Pack was taken so seriously that this committee should always be empowered to help safeguard the money that is being collected in the name of taxpayers, or those who are paying tax, and the exchequer coming from the national government, and their own revenue. All those two are money from the people and their taxes. We are elected to represent the people who are paying taxes. You know very well that most of the members know that from their own revenue, your mother, your relative, is the one struggling to sell something in order to get money. Then that money being collected is what should be used. Then you realize that an officer who sits in an office don't care much about the money and how you spend the money. Fun enough, as an assembly, we have been given the authority, the mandate to oversight that. And I want to say that the audit office is one of the independent body through Auditor General that is supposed to do its work independently and point out the wrongs in terms of financial management to the executive. Fun enough, they are not supposed to implement anything, but their report should be brought directly to the assembly so that members can now take action, because this is a work done by professionals, and they give the Pick and Pack committee to take action against some of the things that they have listed. I've seen serious allegations that I don't know if you just leave it like that and die natural death. If you talk about surrendered and surrendered interest, that's a serious thing. Imagine Lumumba Wade, 10 years later, someone tells you that you never surrendered up to 1 million. So what? That name, never surrendered, takes you to be like a corrupt person. What action should we take as an assembly? If there are names that can be listed to a tune of 100 million, and they talk about a certain percentage, 22 million that was recovered, and what should we do as members? How can we offer guidance so that the money being spent in the county, someone should know that there's an assembly that exists, and do not take this report literally, but they can act upon it. You look at allegations of unsupported document, 4 billion being sent, and you'll find that some payments were made. Yes, they were made. But if there is no supporting document that payments were made, then in other words, we say it is corruption, because those payments cannot be substantiated, and we don't know about it. So that's why a committee was created in assemblies all over the world, known as the Accounts Committee, and Kisumu County have our county Public Accounts Committee. Looking at the recommendation, I, Kelvin Oraro, can say that as a committee, you gave us very good recommendation, but trying to run away from the reality by appointing some of the officers who are doing that. That's why I was very keen asking my brother to name the rogue officer, maybe in his own interpretation. As I support the report, let this be put also into consideration that, Mr. Speaker, I am a sad person, knowing very well that it is only the assembly that can make sure that there is that financial discipline. If assembly is not going to act, if assembly is going to be taken as people who don't understand what they are doing, then it's very unfortunate. People will just do things and nothing can be done. If a serious report like this will be tabled, you talk about COVID millionaires, you don't mention, we don't know who are COVID millionaires the way my deputy chair was saying, then it shows that something needs to be done extra. If you have teeth, you can bite. But if there's no teeth, we can also dance with you and support the report the way it is, then we lay it and forget about it. Mr. Speaker, as I wind my contribution, I'm a sad person, I'm repeating that for the second time, knowing very well that the allocation that we have around most of the members and what is going to be done in the ward is so little if you compare with the bigger chunk of money that's come to the county government. But if I take my time to read a report of money and money that cannot be accounted for, then I'm asking myself a simple question. Am I doing service to the people of Kisumu County? And if I cannot fight them, if we cannot come out as assembly and stop some of these things, Gino Achebe is saying, if you can't fight them, you do what? You join them and you keep quiet. So, Mr. Speaker, my plea, in the next report, knowing that this report, the recommendation is bare, in the next report that will come from the Auditor General, if there's no improvement to some of the things that you have listed here, then I'll request the chair not to go around the corner, but come out and say, this officer is not doing his work according to the principles of accounting, and for that reason, we are recommending him to step aside. We took time, we listened to him, and we have come to a conclusion that he's not doing his work effectively. That is when you talk as an assembly. That's when the power is given to this assembly. There's only one committee, and it is Speak and Park, that can make this assembly speak. I rest my case, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, the Honorable Millicent Omoya of North Seme Ward.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. First, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate the committee for the job well done. I just have a small concern on issue of impressed. Like when I was going through the list of impressed, those people who have not surrendered, most of them are staffs who are still working. And it's like nobody's even caring to do recovery of the impressed from them. Then there is this funny bit of it. There's a name called Daniel. I know Daniel in person. He worked in former municipal council. He was in Devolution 1. The guy is no longer working with the county. And when you look at the interest that is still holding, is almost $1 million. My question is, how? Because it's not featuring anywhere, even within the county. And it's like, if we are not careful, apart from the monies that people are robbing and putting inside their accounts and their pockets, too much of our monies or resources are running away from us well. We are just seated and watching. I believe that after writing or doing all these proposals, at times it also needs that the assembly makes it a habit to follow and ensure that the recommendations are followed. Because if at all we are not in a position to do that, then I think there is no even need of reading us these reports. Because it will be just a habit of making reports, bringing reading, then it goes. And I'm supporting the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Chair, maybe before you submit, I don't know why honorable members are talking like the implementation committee does not compose of members from this assembly. And if the failure is from the implementation committee, it's still from all of us. So let's not talk like implementation committee is sitting somewhere separate from this house. They are here and you know them. Yes, Honorable Uchele.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, may I first begin by sending my echo to the committee for the bulky, tedious, fruitless work that they've done. I've said fruitless because all that they've done at the end of the day will be attributed to what Honorable Mildred said, that they were taken out to do a report for 2 days. It might begin and end with that 2 days because I'm not seeing the report yielding any fruit in this county. I didn't want to waste time taking even notes about the report because however big words and many I use, it still will land on a hard rock. Sometimes I sympathize with Honorable Oikopete, Beni. If the second assembly was and is connected to the third assembly, then I really sympathize with you because you fought a fight, but then the result is just what you're saying. Mr. Speaker, it is very sad to note that audit report, and more so not just internal auditor's report, the Auditor General's report is being discussed in this assembly and members are not there. They are not there because they know very well that this report will end nowhere. But if it was a report to discuss an individual rogue officer in the county government, this house would be full and there will be a lot of intimidation in the room. Mr. Speaker, I was seated and in fact I wanted to leave because there are reports which are left for others and there are some which are meant for people. And Mr. Speaker, I'm beginning to get the demarcation clear that I don't need to waste time discussing something which is fertile. Mr. Speaker, this morning when we were discussing something between Nyamlori and city manager, the house was full full of intimidation and blackmail. And now when we're discussing the same report touching on how we can save the county a lot of revenue, then the same people who are known to be intimidating are at large. They are not there, they are not interested, because at the end of the day, their interest is not being taken care of. Mr. Speaker, may I borrow a leaf from the first assembly? I was lucky to have been a member of Peak Park Committee, where Honorable Oraro was the vice chair. Mr. Speaker, anything to do with audit report, this country will be running helter-skelter, worried, everybody worried left, right, and center because of the fear of unknown. But today, those mentioned in the report, or those who are about to be mentioned, they don't even know that this thing is here, because if you read it, if you discuss it, so what? Nothing. Nothing. So, Mr. Speaker, it beats logic that sometimes when I sit down and I wonder aloud, why am I struggling that the government or the exchequer gives me additional salary? Why? So that I come back to the assembly and defend the executive? Is that why I deserve more pay? That's why I deserve better pay? But when it comes to protecting that belongs to the members of Kisumu County, then I shy away. Then why should I deserve more pay, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, I'm very sorry because what I'm saying might not be popular. But if we are on the side of the truth, then to me I'm satisfied because I'm saying what is the truth. And even you, as you seated there as the chair and the speaker, you know that this is the truth and it is what has been ailing this county, Mr. Speaker. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, there are sometimes we jostle for projects in our wards, and money is not adequate to do enough projects in our wards. But we fail to block loopholes where resources are disappearing from. Why are we failing? And then we are failing in this end, and then in the other end, we need a lot of money to do this. This issue of interest, Mr. Speaker, interest in the PFM Act, once you've been given money and you fail to declare interest, you are not entitled to the next money. But in this county, most of the executive, you are given today, you don't surrender. The other day you go, you are given, you don't surrender, until the interest accumulates to $1 million. Why does one fail to surrender interest? That means whatever that interest was intended for was not done. And then declaring it or surrendering becomes technically challenging, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, even if we say that members are running away, recently, in the recent reports from the Auditor General, even those who owe the county money in terms of car loan and mortgages, Mr. Speaker, failed to pay. And then some of us who are innocent, we are being crucified. You fail to get your gratuity, you fail to get your mortgage, you fail to get your car loan, just simply because the county government, those who are tasked with the responsibility of recovering money owed to the county, are sleeping. They are keen on other things other than collecting what belongs to us, Mr. Speaker. And today when this report came, I'm hearing most people are now starting to remit whatever they owe. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm calling upon the executive to wake up, do their job, and if we are ready to help them sleep, then some of us will not be part of it. I'd rather stay awake alone than going to bed with the executive when my people are going down there with other projects. Thank you.
Yes, the Honorable Member for North Kisumu, Samuel Dede. Sergeant at Arms.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for according me the opportunity to also echo my sentiment concerning the motion. First of all, I start by applauding the committee for work well done, even though it's the committee constituting of few members within the county assembly. You find that most of the committee, we are around 15 members, and the committee of Pick Park constitutes of only 9 members, and they've done a very good job. To start with, on page 22, concerning the use of goods and services, we found that about 10 million was spent without provision of proper documents. Surely, if no proper document was provided for the 10 million supplies, where are we heading to as a county? And as we move on, we found that under the COVID-19 account, we found that there were over millions of shillings spent without the proper procurement procedure followed. We found that about 136,895,906 Kenya money was spent under the provision of things like the blanket, mask, gumboots, and no proper procurement procedure followed. Surely, if that much is being spent without the proper procurement and the documentation, can we account for the loss of that much? And under the imprest, I'm surprised to hear that if a person can still own a county government of Kisumu over 2 million and is pays about 31,000, after how long will he manage to at least finish the loan of 2 million and above? And to my worry, we've just only see a list of about 10 people owning over 300,000 and above. Yet there is no list considering of those having few amount. You've just seen that one, only they have 300,000 and above, only shortlisted of having the impress with the county. What of the rest? Can we justify that? How many people owes the county, even though they are less than 300,000? If the ones who are owning the county 300,000 and above are of this number, what of the rest? That's my concern over the report. And under the human resource matters, we see that the Public Service Board managed to recruit the members there. Which procedure did they follow to at least get the number, and how many were brought on board under the human resource issue? That's worrying. And we find that in proceeding in the report, we see that there are other members who doesn't understand how to operate the IFMIS. So it means the Public Service Board employs those who are underqualified to run the IFMIS, so that they still need more money to go for more refresher courses. So why do we employ those who cannot perform for the county to at least steer us forward? Because employing those who can't perform, then take them for some for refresher courses, it means we waste a lot under the issue. Then, under the issue of financial management, we find that in IFMIS system, we see that others did work without even the LPOs, the LSOs, they do their work without that. And if someone does a project without an LPO, an LSO, that's worrying much. And if we proceed, we see that there was some payment made. We see that a person did work with the county, then the last bit was paid, the third bit. What of the first and second bit were not paid? Then if you get that bit is being paid. Otherwise, regarding the accuracy and validity and completeness of the supply, we found that the management failed to provide relevant document supporting the expenditure rating to 16,402,366 relating to the sitting allowance. So there should have been specification of the sitting allowance, what it did, and the honorarium provided over the issue. And finally, we find that regarding the matter of unsupported payments, the committee finds that the county government of Kisumu does not have a policy on record management. If you don't have a policy to at least guide us on the record management, how are we going to follow, to get rid of nitty-gritty being done in the Kisumu County? Otherwise, with a few reservations, I rest my case and I support. Thank you.
Yes, Deputy Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, going by the mood of the House, I'll call upon the mover to reply.
Yes, the Honorable Ken Ouko.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is obvious to all the members that we have three roles in the House: representation, oversight, and the legislative part of everything. Now, one of our biggest role known outside there is actually the oversight part of it. And that is what we are doing here. But I'm failing to understand at times when we bring a motion in the House like we have done today, that we need recommendations from members. We need to amend whatever is there. You are given the opportunity to amend what we have done here instead of, and most of the members are just crying babies, instead of holding the bull by the horn. It is a matter of lamentation and lamentations. And we have come here.
Mr. Speaker, point of order.
Rejected. Honorable Ouko, proceed. Order, Honorable Member. In the interest of time, Honorable Member, I'll allow you. The House is here in perpetuity, and you'll inform the House. Just allow the Honorable Member to reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order, Honorable Member. Ken Ouko, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, what we need is to stand tall to be counted. We don't need to be afraid or to expect Jesus from heaven to come. It is our duty. Actually, it is our duty to do the oversight. And we should always come up with the recommendations concerning the Public Finance Management Act. It is very important that we should send a clear signal to the executive to know that our work is not only to criticize and to do some other things, but we complement each other. And this will now allow us to do our job, and they will get our recommendations as required. Members, I'm happy that like the issue of honor source revenue, it was explained very clearly, but we have a lot of streams of which we get our revenue from our own source revenue. And we recommended very clearly the other time that it be consolidated so that it be very clear to the county government that we can know exactly what we are collecting. As at for now, we don't know anything. That is very clear, and members also, actually they saw that Now, the audit issues, for the past 3 years, it has been adverse. And this is actually damaging the image of Kisumu County. It is also our duty still to rectify that by coming up with the best recommendations. That is our work. Let us do whatever we can do, recommend what we can do, so that the executive fails. When they fail to do anything, now we can act. Remember, we had a mortgage and the other mortgage fund, car and mortgage fund from the executive. And we recommended some actions to be taken. And remember, these people acted. There were almost 5 people who had the balances. But for now, there's only one person remaining who has not actually paid. And this is an achievement on the committee and of the House. It is very important. So I'm only encouraging members.
Mr. Speaker, point of order.
That tomorrow.
Honourable members, just allow the honourable
Statement
members.
of fact.
I'll give you time. Just allow. He's
He's
finishing.
bringing new things that it's another report. to
Order,
discuss.
honourable member.
Mr. Speaker, most of the members compared even the mortgage with what we are doing now. And this is what I'm on a reply on what members were talking about. With that, Mr. Speaker, I beg to reply. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Chairman. Up to that point, I'd agreed that I'll give the Honourable Chele to inform the House before I listen to the other standing orders, then I'll put a question. Yes, Honourable Chele, what was your information to the House?
Mr. Chair, your apportionment of time is not accurate, because I was to inform the House so that in a general submission, the Chair, Pig Park, would have used that information to reply.
But the Honourable Member, you wanted to inform the House, not the Chair of Pig Park.
Apparently the Chair was within the House when I wanted to inform the House. He's part of the House, Mr.
Proceed.
Chair.
He's still
You
here.
included.
He's here.
No, he has replied.
Thank you, Honourable Members. I think Honourable Ojemo is no longer interested in any orders of the House. And the Honourable Dede wants to talk now after we have finished replying. So I think let's put a question first, or is it so burning? What do you want to?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Is it on the orders, or you want to inform on anything?
It was on the orders.
Okay, which order?
89 under statement of facts.
And who do you want to?
Yes, I wanted to know the clarity. The chair was talking about mortgage that others submitted. Who are these for who submitted after your reservation? Thank you. That's what I needed.
Honourable Dede, I rule you out of order. And I think I'll now put a question.
Just in,
Order, Honourable Iko.
Yes, sir.
Please resume your seat. You know we had finished the debate, and the chair has replied, and now it's just time for me to put a question, unless you don't want me to put a question. Do you want to defer putting of the question?
You are putting the questions, sir. It's just for information purpose, Chair, because you opened the floor. Members, there's something unique I've learned about this report, and this is for our learning purpose. The committee has recommended, you see, unresolved matters, that the department should bring more documents,
Order, Honourable
more
Member.
information.
Order, Honourable Member. Order.
Just give me time.
Order, Honourable Members. You have discussed the report, and I will not allow you to sneak in discussing the report again, because that is out of order. Thank you, Honourable Members. Honourable Members, A report from the Committee of Public Accounts and Investment has been moved as a motion on their consideration of the Kisumu County Executive Auditor General reports on the financial statements for the year ended 30th June 2020. A report moved by the Chair of the Committee, Honorable Ken Ouko, seconded by the Honorable James Swere, debated by the Honorable members, and it's time for me to put the question for adoption. There are as many as of the opinion that we adopt the report from the Committee of Public Accounts and Investments on their consideration of the Auditor General report and financial statement for Kisumu County Executive for the year ended 30th June 2020. Say aye. As many as of the contrary opinion say nay. Honorable members, the ayes have it. And the report from the Committee on Public Accounts and Investment on their consideration of the Auditor General report and financial statements of the Kisumu County Executive for the year ended 30th June 2020 has been adopted today, the 27th of June at 17:29 hours. Honorable members, this report, together with the Hansard report, has a lot of recommendations to different officers in the executive that need their action. I want to direct that this report, together with the Hansard report of today, be submitted to the executive for immediate actions. There are so many recommendations and timelines that have been given that we require certain documents or certain responses, and I believe those timelines need to be factored in as we are submitting the report to the executive. Thank you, honorable members. Next order, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Speaker and honorable members, there is no business to be transacted in the order book.
There being no any other business to transact, the House stands adjourned until tomorrow, Wednesday, 28th June at 9. Sorry, honorable members. The House stands adjourned until Thursday, 29th June at 2:30 p.m.